Hey, what's going on? It is 13 days from Ironman Louisville. I am wearing my Brewers cap because today they clinched the Central Division in game 163 by going into Wrigley Field and playing a fantastic game against a very good team, the Chicago Cubs. Now, it was just a great game. I watched it. It was one of the first games all year that I've actually sat down and watched the whole game. I took a little break to do the podcast, but I put it on pause and I was back and forth. So it was all good, man. That was baseball. This is actually my favorite time of the year. We've got college football getting into gear, which I'm admittedly losing a little bit of steam with, but it's still around. We've got a lot of Ironman races going on. That's two. And we got baseball. Playoffs. There's nothing like them. I don't care what anybody says. Baseball is the best sport. I could go into a whole long thesis on that, but I'm not going to. I just think it's the best metaphor for life. There's a lot of long, struggling challenges, and it reminds me of Ironman a little bit. I mean, 162 games. These teams played 162 games and tied. Same record. And then they had to go one game playoff for the division, and then loser goes to the wild card tomorrow. But I mean, sometimes I can't even imagine the stamina that takes to play that many games. I mean, I played baseball, and it is I mean, I'm not even kidding. Oh, you're right. Brewers versus Astros would be amazing, Phil. Congratulations on your Ironman yesterday. Good to have you here in the room. So yeah, I played baseball in college, and we played maybe 35 to 40 games or something like that, and it is and then maybe a little summer ball, but it's always nagging injuries. It really does remind me of Ironman in a way, and I always think about this. I always think, man, if I knew what I know now about Ironman training and how these little injuries and these little sores and these pains and these nagging things are not really injuries, I probably would have been a better baseball player because I let those things affect me. A lot of these inflammatory sort of things and fatigue and whatever. But on the other side of the coin, I think baseball really helped me unknowingly with Ironman training because, we played a lot of double headers and, you get run on the field, off the field. I mean, you're talking about a double header can be 4 to 5 hours of playing up and down and taking off and stopping and starting and sprinting and break. I mean, it's a endurance. I mean, I know people think that baseball players are lazy and they just stand around or whatever, but I don't know. I think it has a lot of similarities to Ironman in a lot of ways. Just being able to kind of pace yourself and stand and react and I mean, I didn't know anything about hydration or fueling or any of that kind of stuff when we were playing. It was always just kind of suck it up and keep going. We played a lot of softball tournaments when I got out of baseball, competitive stuff where we'd travel, and sometimes we'd play 7 games on a day, starting at 8 or 9 in the morning, and we'd end up getting into the championship game or whatever later, about 7 at night. So it was like, anyway, Brewers are in the National League Division's Championship Series. And they'll play the winner, I guess, the Cubs and Rockies tomorrow, the wild card game. I wish they didn't throw, like, if the Cubs win, the 2 best records in the first round, but whatever. Anyway, so I'm back from Chattanooga, inspired as usual after watching a bunch of athletes go through that. I mean, it always reminds me, too, that Ironman is really hard. You can sit here and talk about it all year, but until you witness the look on people's faces and I mean, it was just obvious that it's such a struggle once you get into that run. And I mean, even in the bike, I mean, you could see people were coming off that bike and I think, surprised by how hot it was. You never really know fully on the bike how hot it is sometimes. And I mean, unless you're riding out and it's 100 degrees, but in the bike, you're riding hard, you're racing hard, and the temperature on the bike was probably in the high 70s most of the time, or mid to the high 70s yesterday. But once you heat it up, I always say, once you get off that bike, it's like uh, flying down the highway for 8 hours on a car, and then you get off and touch that hood, and you see how hot that thing is once it stops. That's usually the hottest point of the day to that point, because there's no airflow, and you're sitting around changing your stuff and transition, and you can really get hot in a hurry. So, a couple little lessons that I picked up yesterday, or reminders, I should say, because uh, how critical it is at that moment I mean, the whole day, to keep cool as much as you can and stay ahead of it, and the nutrition. And I think it's so tempting to just feel like you've got it going and not try to stay ahead of the game. That's been a curse of mine in the past, where, once you get into a hole, it's tougher to get out of, and it's always better to sort of be ahead. But I guess I'm in taper now. I was back in the pool today. For a 2,000 swim, easy, feel good swim, and it did feel good, and that's nice. I'm trying to see if I can pull up what I got going here the next few days, because I haven't really looked. No, it's not anything brutal, but I want to still nail the taper. Damn it. I know I'm not going to know my password. Okay. Anyway, I know it's probably somewhere else too, right? Email. Anyway, so enough of that, because what I just want to do from here on out. Over the weekend, I did some pretty good working out. I felt pretty solid about that. I biked before I left for Chattanooga Thursday, Friday, swam, ran. Saturday, I did a half-ass trainer day, 1 hour in the morning and 2 hours at night, kind of a split trainer. 3 hours, though. I mean, that's better than I normally would do when I go out of town at these races. At least I brought my trainer. At least I got on it for a few hours. I mean, that's like huge win for me. And then Sunday, I went out after they got on the bike. I ran out and ran about an hour and a half. And that's when I realized that it was going to be hot, because I got done right around the time people were starting to come in on the bike. And I was out there struggling. So I was doing my best to kind of convey to everyone that they should be thinking hard about cooling down at that first aid station and getting ahead of that. But, I hate being too talky out there. People know what they got to do. I just there for support. I was trying to get around. It's hard to spectate all day like that, especially when I have a video camera and I'm trying to follow 10 to 12 athletes and catch them all, and they're spread out. And it can be a real challenge and a real draining thing, because I really like to first and foremost be there to help inspire and just give a little boost when I can. And then I'm also thinking about making sure I get the video and whatnot. But I got some good stuff I'll be working on this week. I hope to get that done. I've got a lot of things. I still got to do a lot of stuff from Madison. It's just the footage can be overwhelming sometimes, and then decide what to do with it. Anyway, looking forward to this week. Looking forward to the tapering process. But also really going to be focused on, not the workout shouldn't be that intense necessarily, but I want to make sure I nail them. And on one hand, and on the other hand, I want to make sure I'm still doing my core. And I'm looking for my workout for Tuesday. Yeah, core and just the little things, and eating well and trying to, stay on top of all that and just feel good. Now for me, it's just about like resting, feeling fresh, and feeling good going in this race. Just feeling good on a daily basis, having my mind there, having my body in good spirits as well. And then, getting up there fresh as can be. I was looking here. I found my workout for Tuesday. It's an easy 1-hour ride. That really easy spin, preferably early in the morning. See, there's always a catch. I mean, what does early mean? What do you think early means, Phil? For a guy like me, early in the morning could be 9:30, 10. Hey, is Wes here? Wes, you're probably in bed. Oh, geez, it's almost 11 Eastern. Wes is sleeping. If anybody knows this, if anybody knows how far that from the starting point in the swim at Louisville to the there's like a dock pier area where people jump off and go swimming. It's like you walk down from the hill and there's like a pier in there. If anybody knows how far that might be from the starting area, I'd like to know that. You can email me at crushingiron@gmail.com. I am Mike, co-host of the Crushing Iron podcast, along with Coach Robbie. We recorded episode 203 today. It was a Chattanooga recap sort of deal. And every Monday and Thursday, the podcast comes out. You can, like I said, email me at crushingiron@gmail.com if you have any comments or thoughts about any of this or Louisville or whatever else is on your mind. Oh, and I did get an email. Like, there's been a lot of chatter because the Chattanooga swim was canceled. Now there's, of course, a lot of chatter about the Louisville swim being canceled. And we always talk about, and I get it. It's once a thought gets in your head. I mean, the swim is like this thing, right? Where there's anxiety all the time about the swim in general, and then you have this general anxiety about the race because it's coming up and you want everything to go well, and then all of a sudden there's chatter about the flooding and the E-coli and all this other stuff and the water quality and blah blah blah. And now there's chatter that the Louisville swim is could be on the ropes. So, I mean, all I know is that it seems like every year I go to Louisville, I've gone the lessons like 6 years in a row, either doing it or spectating. It seems like the swim is always a point of contention or conversation. And, one year it was the flow was too much. The next year it's the storms. Next year it's this. Next year it's that. I don't know. I just have to trust that it's going to be there and keep going. And I don't know why. I mean, seriously, I am no scientist. As you know, I'm not a scientist. But I do know that I think we overreact sometimes to things like this, and not anybody. I mean, just like everybody. Like, I was just looking. Like, for example, now this is just me. This is my opinion, but I was looking up. I actually Googled how dangerous is E. coli the other night, because that was the big thing on at Chattanooga. The E. coli levels were up and all this stuff. And I don't really understand what it is. I get that it's a bacteria, and I get that we have 18 million different types of bacteria in our gut. And all of a sudden, E. coli just has this sort of name, and I'm sure it's made people sick in the past. And I mean, I don't want to I want to step back and think about stuff, because I looked and evidently it's very dangerous for infants and super old people that are not in shape or whatever. But I'm sure there's stuff in the water all the time that can be a problem, and that's my whole thing is I don't know where this E. coli thing started or what the deal is. And I know you might have diarrhea from it or whatever, but I don't know. This is just living sometimes, so is it are we overreacting to the potential dangers of these things? Hey Carson, what's up? How you doing? When are you coming to Louisville to hang out? So I'm sorry I'm on this tangent, and sometimes I don't know. I think you swim in rivers and you swim in lakes and there's stuff in there, and I hate all this fear surrounding everything because then, there's these voices, and then all of a sudden the lawyers get like wind of it, and the next thing you know, it's like, can't do this, can't do that, can't do this, can't do that. And so, because like the point I was going to make here is we go swimming like almost every other day, probably, as we train in pools, and there's like loads of chlorine in there. And we're in there for, an hour, 2 to 3 hours a week swimming in chlorine, which isn't probably the most healthy thing either. And the biggest organ in our skin, or skin's the biggest organ in our body, and it's always taking in this chlorine. And I always have these feelings like it's messing with me, messing with my brain, and like later, and sometimes I get sweats and all this weird shit happens. But my point is that we don't even say anything about chlorine. It's like a poison. But the minute E-coli is mentioned, we just want to cancel every Ironman swim. Am I completely off my rocker? I mean, because there's just bacteria and stuff everywhere. We're kissing dogs all the time, and our bodies are meant to be resilient. And the more we run from all this stuff, the more susceptible I think we are to it. You guys didn't see this one coming. But this is stuff I think about, man. It's like I was looking at that river, and I'm like, let's get in there. Let's get in there. These people they're tough. They've been training their ass off. Not afraid of a little current, not afraid of a little E. coli, maybe. I'm not hearing any feedback. Maybe I'm off my rocker. I don't know. We eat dirt sometimes, But I do have to say that when I was walking up and down that river, and there was like a lot of debris accumulating, and that's like the pictures that we're seeing from Louisville now is all this trash and sticks and logs and stuff like that. Imagine that, sticks and logs in a river. But there's a lot of people that litter, man, and that is just not cool. Like, why would you throw shit into a river, or but more likely on a river bank or in a park or somewhere near a river? Because that's the flow. That's what we talk about all the time when we're talking about water quality, is like the stuff from the shore that goes into the river. These companies build this stuff and just dump shit in there, and these corporate, they just like their waste goes in. I mean, it's just like none of this stuff would be going in there if we weren't putting it in there. Yeah, see, that's what you said it better than me, Phil. Exposure to germs builds a better resistance. I just think that, like you get one or two people getting sick out of like, 2 or 3,000 swimming in some lake, that all of a sudden it gets a bad rep or a bad image. I mean, I'm not saying it's the most ideal thing in the world, but I sort of have this like, okay, if you're going to be an Ironman, and it's going to be hard. I don't want it to be sugar coated. I want elements. I want like stuff. And I'm not saying I want polluted waters, but like maybe it's just, I don't know. It's just, if it's that bad, I mean, I know I've swam through like sewage in Louisville, it's just part of my, it wasn't fun or anything, but like, you get out, and I wish they really, honestly, I wish they had showers at the end of the swim that you could run through, like a big stream of like, like outdoor type showers like they have at Kona or whatever. Get some of that off you, because I think that's a big part of it. I also think that once you get on the bike and you start sweating, it kind of gets that stuff out too. So, I don't know. What do I know about this stuff? But anyway, so I guess I'm gonna do an easy hour bike ride tomorrow. That sounds actually kind of fun. It's been a long time since I've had an easy hour bike ride that I can remember. No Purcell when I was a kid. Yeah. Oh, don't get me. You mean Purell? Is that the same thing? Is that germ thing? Like everyone, here's okay. I used to work in corporate America, and they had that Purell everywhere. Like everywhere you touched anything, people would just be doing, and everybody I worked with was always sick. I mean, immunity, resistance, those are things we got to work at, I think, in general. It's not perfect, nothing's perfect. And I mean, it's just like life. It's just like Ironman. The more harder workouts you do, the better you get at them, and the easier they get. And your body's like, oh, okay, I get this. I get what's going on. The body's so amazing that it can do these things. You know, people say, it's not like good for you to go do Ironman or whatever, and those are people who don't understand like how it can actually make you stronger and healthier and feel better. It's just they can't fathom it because they haven't done it or gone through what it takes to get there. And the good stuff's not easy. You know, I think I think we can get obsessed with having everything perfect and perfectly clean and whatnot. I don't know. But anyway, that's enough at night. I'm a little bit off my bean tonight because it's been a long day, a long weekend. Spectating is definitely a tough deal. It was actually a little bit easier yesterday because the swim wasn't in effect, and we didn't have to get there till a lot later than I normally. I would have probably been down there at 5:30, and I think we got there at like 7:30 yesterday. But nonetheless, I was not back to my hotel room until after 12 o'clock, and that's a long day of walking. And sometimes walking and standing can be tougher on me than running in a different sort of way, in a sort of a fatigue, back pain, you know, sort of way. But I really appreciate you guys coming around, hanging out with me late at night. It's 10 o'clock Central, 11 o'clock Eastern. Go Chiefs. The Chiefs are playing. No, I know that. I saw it for a minute. They were playing Denver, but I don't know. And this has nothing to do with the Kaepernick thing or anything like that, but the NFL lost me like 15, 20 years ago. I don't know why exactly, but I just haven't really paid attention. But I am ready to pay attention to these guys. I like them. I don't know if you've seen them play much this year, Phil, but they're playing ball again. I like how they're playing ball. I kind of feel like they know how to win again. Before I felt like they're just disjointed and not really doing it together. But it's good to have a team. It's good to have a team like we had yesterday too at Chattanooga. That was cool, hanging out with everybody. You guys are all good people, and Kirsten, you never answered me if you're coming to Louisville. You probably already dumped on me when I was in the E-coli discussion. But we got 25 to 28 people racing C26 athletes up at Louisville. That's going to be pretty cool. You will not be there. I really miss you guys. I don't know when we're going to see you again. I think we're going to go to Ohio. You going to Ohio? Ohio next year. My next year's count. I guess I'm hearing Chattanooga 70.3 is getting a little full. I better sign up for that quick. Who's going to Wisconsin with me? That's the big question. That's where I'm going next year. I'm going back to Madison. Yeah, Joe should do Wisconsin. It's I'm really looking forward. I did my little pick 3 thing this year between Louisville, Wisconsin, and Chattanooga. And I was telling somebody yesterday that Wisconsin was actually my second pick this year. But I ended up ultimately feeling like it was just a little bit too close to my decision. And I wanted a little more time, so I picked Louisville. And Louisville's my second favorite. Yeah, it's just it is amazing. I think everybody should do Wisconsin. I really do. Of course, I haven't seen them all, but it's hard for me to believe. Mark's going. His first full be at Wisconsin. That's next year, I take it. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of people up there. I hope it's gonna be fun, and hopefully I can keep it up. I'm getting old. I'm starting to be a curmudgeon about swim water quality and stuff. Oh, okay, Phil, you're gonna wait a couple weeks, make a decision. Yeah, we'll pick it right after. Yeah, you can pick it at Louisville. That'll be perfect. Anyway, I guess I better. I obviously don't have a lot to do right now, or else I'd have probably been gone a long time ago. I appreciate you guys hanging out, making it more enjoyable. I'll let you know how my easy 1-hour bike ride goes tomorrow. That will be something. I got new Aero Bar pads today then in the mail. That was exciting. That's kind of like my big purchase of the fall. I bought tire extenders for my valve extenders. That was pretty cool, but they haven't shown up yet. I'm getting a little nervous. But other than that, I really don't have anything new, except a new state of mind from coming back from Chattanooga. All fired up. Okay, you guys, email me at crushingiron@gmail.com. Let me know what you think of what's going on in here and anything else that's on your mind. I'd love to chat with you. Early morning ride means before noon. All right, I'm in, Phil. I think that's what I was thinking too. Actually, I'm probably get up, walk the dog. That's the other thing I got to start doing more of. Get Maddie out there walking. She's got to get on the couch to 5K9 program and hit the coffee shop, and then maybe I'll come back for a ride, and then I'll start working on a bunch of video stuff for Chattanooga and start posting that like mad up here and in the closed Facebook group and all that stuff. Good night, Lisa. I hope you had a good time in town. And we will see you guys tomorrow. This might be the time I'll do it from now on. I had a pretty good crowd in here. All right, everybody be good. Go Brewers, and we will talk to you tomorrow night.